Super Mario Maker 3 coming to Switch 2 this year. In a community post, I asked you to give me some hot takes as well as some predictions for 2026, and then I would respond to them. So if you want your comment to be featured in the next video, be sure to subscribe. So let's start with this first comment. I don't think Mario Kart World gets DLC track, at least not this year. Maybe we get new characters or costumes, but I don't think we will get new tracks. So that's interesting because with Mario Kart World, it's not as simple to add tracks unless they wanted to do something more traditional. Like with Mario Kart 8 and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it was pretty easy to just add another cup with 4 more tracks. But with World, since the tracks are interconnected, I guess it would need to be like a map expansion unless they want to do like a second map or if they wanted to have a more traditional mode. So it would be interesting to see what they do, and I'd be very surprised if they don't at some point. I don't know, this is one that I'm really not sure about. But you know what? I think I'm going to agree that we're not going to get new DLC tracks this year. I could see it happening, but if I had to pick, like if you asked me to just make a prediction, I could see it being next year. New characters or costumes, though, I think that is a lot more likely. This next comment, there may be very few, if any, Switch 2 editions of third-party games already on Switch 1 due to the extra effort both Nintendo and the non-Nintendo companies would have to go through to make them happen. So the actual Switch 2 editions, like the physical copies that you think of when you think of Switch 2 editions, I don't think there's going to be third-party versions of these because a lot of Switch 1 games are already getting free updates on Switch 2. Like if you play it on Switch 2, it's simply going to run better at no extra cost. For the other consoles, a lot of games have the same exact thing. It's not exclusive to Nintendo where they're charging you for improvements, and Nintendo themselves has had updates in games like Mario Odyssey that are completely free for Switch 2. But I do agree, I don't think there's going to be that many Switch 2 editions of games that are already existing, like games that are already on Switch 2 editions for more money, I should say. This comment says they will charge for the air around the Switch 2. I mean, that reminds me of that one SpongeBob scene where Mr. Krabs is charging everyone $1 per step. I mean, Nintendo definitely has had some questionable pricing decisions, I'll say that. Maybe some Zelda remakes will be announced, but for the 2D episodes like Zelda 1 and 2, The Adventure of Link, and perhaps just a remaster for the Minish Cap, as the game is still gorgeous and doesn't need a remake. So actually, I don't know. I was thinking about what Nintendo could do for Zelda's 40th anniversary, and I talked about that in a couple other videos. I don't think we're going to get a remake of the first of Zelda 1 and Zelda 2, just because those games are very dated now, and you may say, well, shouldn't they get a remake then? They're also like very products of their time. Like I don't really know how modern versions of them would work. Zelda 2, I could see maybe like a cleaned up version to make it better, because the issues the game has are more like just with like the brutal difficulty, like the wonky controls, like the wonky combat, and I think Nintendo's kind of just leaving that in the past for the most part. Minish Cap, I could see that happening. I could see a Minish Cap remaster or remake coming, but I think if they're going to do any, it's going to be the Oracle games. But I will agree with you that the Minish Cap still looks fantastic. I love the GBA sprite work, and if you have not played Minish Cap and you have NSO, if you have NSO Plus, I guess, because it's on GBA, highly recommend it. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door remake will get a Switch 2 edition that adds a boss rush mode, 60 FPS. So I guess assuming he's correct, I didn't know that Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door is 30 FPS on Switch. I mean, it ran perfectly fine for me, especially for the game it is. Like, obviously higher frame rates is better, but I never had any problem with a frame rate issue. A boss rush mode could be interesting. I don't know if they make a Switch 2 edition of a remake, like with extra content like that. If they were to make a Switch 2 edition, it would probably just be like with Xenoblade Chronicles, with Xenoblade Chronicles X, where it's literally just like a $5 upgrade for graphics and performance. So, I mean, that's a possibility, but I don't really think they would add new content. Like, that would kind of be scummy if they made a remake that was very faithful to the original. I love the remake, but just wants to charge you more for some extra content. Like, I feel like that's something that would be better to actually come with the game. If it was a brand new game, then okay, games get DLC. I don't think a Switch 2 edition would really do much for that, so I don't think it's likely. So this next one has 3 predictions. So one is Nintendo will release another $80 game, and it'll be Pokemon Gen 10. They'll release it and be even more unpolished than Scarlet and Violet. So I'm not really a big Pokemon fan. I didn't actually play Scarlet and Violet, so I can't really speak to that. I know a lot of people have had issues with it. Will it be $80? I don't know, because this isn't just Nintendo's decisions. Like, Game Freak, I believe, is the one making the pricing decision. I could be wrong, though. Pokemon Legends EA was $70 on Switch 2, but again, that was not exclusively a Switch 2 game. You know what? I could see that happening. I could see it being an $80 game. But the thing is, making 2 games, like for $160 for Pokemon games, that would be pretty brutal. I think I would hope it's at least not more than $70, because I don't think we can expect it to be $60 on Switch 2. If it's $80, there's going to be much more outrage than there is right now with Fire Red and Leaf Green. Like, the outrage for that will last a couple more days, and then I think most people will forget about all the back and forth with it, but I think that would be a lot more controversial. Next one, another indie game like Black Myth Wukong or E33 will come out of nowhere this summer and be a great success. This is hard to predict. There's always going to be new indie games, and sometimes like the most random ones that come out maybe like a year or so before just randomly pick up over time. So that could happen. I wouldn't be surprised. GTA 6 will release and have mixed reception due to the expectations people had for it. So for the first part, to talk about this for 2026 is that GTA 6 actually has to release in 2026, which who knows at this point. So people are going to be very critical of this game because we've been waiting so long. It's had so many delays. It's probably the most hyped video game in video game history. Like, I don't think it's particularly close either. So they're going to have to do a lot. There's rumors that you'll be able to enter most of the buildings, which I think should be expected. Like GTA 5, I love GTA 5, but even when I first played it, like you couldn't really go in many places. It seemed like it was kind of a downgrade in some aspects from GTA 4, where you were able to go into like restaurants, like the bowling alley. GTA 5 kind of lacked in that. It's going to need to just have a very dense open world. It's going to need to have a great story. There's just going to need to be a lot to do and just be what we expect 13 years of improvements of GTA 5 like to be. Like how GTA 5 was a huge game back when it came out. We've had 13 years now where Rockstar has done almost nothing, literally besides Red Dead 2. They've made no new games in that time. So yeah, expectations are going to be huge for this. I do think it's going to be a very good game though. If I'm being honest, like Rockstar very rarely misses. If they're taking this much time and actively delaying it when they could have released in 2025, or they could have released it a couple months from now, I think the fact that they're delaying it shows that they're at least putting as much effort as they can into it. So I do have hope that it's going to be a fantastic game. This next comment says they will release a Switch 2 version of Smash Ultimate before a new Smash Bros. Game, and will have all the DLC characters right out of the box, maybe one new character. So I don't think they do this. At least I don't think they're going to make a new character that's only exclusive to the Switch 2 version. And I don't really know what Nintendo would do with the Switch 2 version of Smash, because it's already 60 FPS. It already looks great. Like, I don't know, maybe they had like a better story mode, but I don't think they do that. They already have a story mode. It's not Subspace, but it's something. And with the DLC characters, so that's interesting. So if Breath of the Wild, like the Switch 2 edition, released with the DLC, I would say this is likely. But that didn't even have that. Like, you're paying $10 extra for an 8 or 9-year-old game that doesn't even come with all the DLC. So I don't think Nintendo does that, honestly. Like, you would have to pay $70 or $80 for the Switch 2 edition, and spend how much more for both fighter passes. So that's probably what they would do for this. So this is a long comment, but I'll just read part of it. I really hope HAL and Nintendo give us a Kirby Triple Deluxe plus Kirby Planet Robobot pack for Switch and Switch 2 with new epilogue modes. So I'm not the biggest Kirby fan. I did play both these games. I thought they were fun games. I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo made a 3DS Kirby game for the Switch or Switch 2. I think at this point it would be for the Switch 2. They have made some remakes. Most of the Kirby remakes have been pretty solid. Would it be Kirby Triple Deluxe and Planet Robobot? I think Planet Robobot's a little more likely if they were to go that route. But I would say it's more likely that we're going to get a new Kirby game. Like that's the first mainline Kirby game on Switch 2 that's not Air Riders or just like the port of Forgotten Land. And also at the end of the comment, saying you can't have Kirby Planet Robobot without Kirby Triple Deluxe. Maybe Nintendo sells them separately, I don't know, but I don't think we're going to get that this year. Hot take, I don't think Nintendo are even going to tease or reveal a new 3D Mario or 3D Zelda game until at least next year. 3D Zelda, I agree with. 3D Mario, there's been so many rumors at this point. I'd like to believe a new 3D Mario is coming this year. I think we're going to finally get it. I could be wrong. Like this isn't a super hot take because it's not crazy that we wouldn't get a new 3D Mario this year, but I'd like to believe that we do. So this is a hot take, not a prediction. I despise modern open world Zelda and think the classic Zelda formula is vastly superior in nearly every way. So I disagree with this in some ways. I really like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, probably two of my favorite games of all time. But with that being said, I also do love the classic 3D Zelda games like Ocarina of Time, like Majora's Mask, and I assume you're talking about classic 3D Zelda. So I understand why a lot of people don't like the more open world games. It's a very different formula. They don't feel like traditional Zelda games, but I think for what they are, they're fantastic games. Like they're very expansive games. There's so much to do. I would like to see a return to more traditional, just because I don't want to keep getting these same style of games. Like we got two both fantastic games, but I would like to see some of the classic Zelda back. So I will agree with you on that. Why do you think so many comments that disagree with the video are so hateful instead of just simply disagreeing? So not necessarily a gaming one, but it is an interesting question, and I think this is probably from some of the recent Pokemon videos I made. I think it's just because a lot of people take video games too seriously, and not even just video games. Like this is for every niche. I could probably make a whole video talking about this, but when a lot of people have that anonymity of the internet and they watch a video they don't like, even if it's something that's not offensive or anything, instead of just saying I disagreed with what was said in this video, or I think your editing could be better or whatever, it usually is a lot more personal, where they hate on you or they resort to name calling, and I just think it's a sign of immaturity. I think most of these people are either young kids or just adults who just are simply not mature. And with these comments, if they are acting that hateful, they're they're not even worth listening to. If someone comments saying they disagree with something and they can give a respectful response, I think that's worth a lot more. So try not to let those comments get to you. I know it could add up, it can be annoying, but you just have to think a lot of these people, like, no matter what you said in that video, they came into that video in a bad mood, ready to take their anger out. That's really my advice, like, for anyone who's a content creator and gets hate comments. A very good question. If anyone has questions like this for future community posts, like even if it's something not gaming related, something YouTube related, you could always ask it. Next one, prediction: Brothership gets a Switch 2 upgrade in either Paper Mario as well. I doubt it will be a full DLC for any of them, but definitely 60 FPS, high res, etc. So I think Brothership is a lot more likely than Thousand Year Door. Origami King, yeah, I don't know. I just don't think Switch 2 Edition would do much for either of these games, especially since they're games like in series that traditionally don't have many like side modes outside of like the main campaign. Or I shouldn't say outside the main campaign. Like, there's side things to do in that actual campaign, but there's not like different modes like on the menu that you click on to play. So I don't think that will happen. Hot take: I think the next 3D Mario will still have the same flaws as Odyssey, which is having too many easy collectibles. I agree. So there are a lot of just ridiculously easy moons in Odyssey. I don't think the next 3D Mario is going to be super difficult or anything. And I still love Odyssey, but yeah, I would like to see stars or moons or whatever the collectible is be a little more rewarding. And prediction: Luigi's Mansion 4 will be in a place no one expected. So I think we're either getting this or 3D Mario. I think if we get Luigi's Mansion 4, it would be in the next Direct. And if we get that and no 3D Mario, I just have a tough time believing Nintendo would release a 3D Mario and Luigi's Mansion 4 within like the same couple months. If we were getting Luigi's Mansion 4 in the summer and then a 3D Mario like at the end of the year, it would be more likely. But in all likelihood, I think they would be competing with each other, and obviously the 3D Mario is going to outsell Luigi's Mansion 4. So I think that might be a next year announcement. Wind Waker or Twilight Princess port to Switch 2, or maybe Switch 1 with Switch 2 editions for Zelda's 40th. I don't know. At this point, like, Wind Waker is already on GameCube NSO. Twilight Princess still isn't. It could happen, but if I had to guess, I would say no. Then Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is better than World. Completely agree, 100%. I think World's a fine game. I think you'll have a lot of fun with it. But I just think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has more content, or at least more meaningful content, and it is probably objectively, like, if you're comparing games objectively, it's probably the best Mario Kart. I personally like Mario Kart Wii better, but that's just where subjectivity comes in. Mega Man, I'm not really a big Mega Man fan, so you guys can let me know in the comments if you agree with this. The Zelda movie should adapt concepts from the manga, as that is the most narrative-focused Zelda content out there. I've never read the mangas. I think I actually have one. But I think what they're going to do is they're probably going to take one story, like, well, let's say it's Ocarina of Time, and they're really going to take inspiration from that story, but do kind of like with the Mario movie, where they kind of like have one game be like a kind of central theme, but then just have so many different games referenced. And I shouldn't even say that for the Mario movie. It's not like it's based on like one game, because Mario games don't really have stories like that for the most part. But I think it's probably just going to be like a love letter to Zelda, especially depending on how seriously it's taken, like if there's going to be a bunch of Easter eggs and things. So we'll have to see with that. I hope the next Fire Emblem game has an inverse of casual mode that basically forces what the community calls Iron Man runs. It's basically what Honor Mode from Baldur's Gate 3 is. So I know this is something that Fire Emblem fans have like been discussing a lot recently, at least actually not even recently, really for the past 13 years whenever Awakening came out, where some people have said that the series is just like too simplified, it's a lot more casual than it used to be. As someone who's not a big Fire Emblem fan, I did love Awakening. I played on the mode where like if you lose a character, they come back next time, because I'm just not that good at the games where I want to commit to like a long run and then just lose so many characters to the point where I need to. So I don't know if that's a thing in Fire Emblem, but I always think more options in games is a good thing. JRPGs are becoming way too easy. I was thinking about this with the recent Dragon Quest VII remake. I strongly despise in-game difficulty sliders, experience, gold modifiers. All the Final Fantasy remasters suffer from this. So like what I just said with with Fire Emblem, I don't think that people should have the choices to like make a game that much easier where you can just like adjust like level grinding and everything like that. I think it's good to have, when I say it's good to have more options, I think there's still a limit to that. I don't know if that sounds contradictory, but like if you have 3 different difficulty modes compared to 1, rather than just being able to pick your own difficulty. I don't know if that's what he's saying here. I've never played Dragon Quest, but yeah, I think that it's fine to not want a ridiculously difficult game, but you also shouldn't want a game like that to be just a complete cakewalk either. I think there's a way to have a good balance, and that there should be some kind of penalty for playing with them, like maybe reduce trophies or achievements. So there are some games that actually do have that. Like if you play on a different difficulty, you don't unlock like some of the new game plus, or you don't get certain achievements. So that is a thing, but I do get what you're saying. And then a comment or a reply to this says that was kind of the point, like the game being easier, dumbed down from the original, and having a lot of cut content. So that's unfortunately an issue with a lot of remakes, like Resident Evil 3 especially. And it's sad that a lot of games, like there's really like visually impressive remakes of them that control very well, that have improved music, that have just all these improvements in general, but just cut so much content to the point where it's not even worth playing it over the original. So I think if a company's gonna remake a game, like, don't cut out content that's crucial to the main campaign. So Super Mario Maker 3, anyone? It'll be exclusive to the Switch 2 for sure. We're gonna get Super Mario Maker 3 at some point. I'd be very surprised if we didn't. The first two games have been incredibly successful, and yeah, I can't imagine it'll be on the Switch 1. My guess is that it'll utilize the mouse controls. No, as for what will be in it, I don't know. Like, we've talked about Super Mario Maker 3D. Does Nintendo do that? I don't know. That's giving so much more freedom than they've really given in like any game before. In any game before, you can create like your own levels or anything. Like they've had things like this in some other games. Kind of create your own content. Like creating full-on 3D levels, like that's a big step. Like that's a big thing. But going back to the comment, I do think we're gonna get Super Mario Maker 3 at some point. I don't think 2026. So I think it's more likely probably in sometime in the next 2 years if I had to guess. And those are all the comments. So again, be sure to subscribe because I want to do more of these. So look out for my community posts. I'll ask for hot takes or predictions or for you to comment something that I'll go over in a video. It's always interesting to see like some hot takes people have on some things with video games as well as predictions. Do let me know, and thank you for watching.